One of my favorite stories, the story of Bearskin. If you know German history, in my time, the kings, the lesser kings and barons, were fighting one against another, and it seemed that Europe was at war. We were striving for democracy. America had democracy. France had a revolution, and we wanted democracy too. Napoleon from France invaded Germany. We were at war. For 1,000 years we were at war. First we fought with Rome in the Teutonic Wars, and the 7 Years' War, and the 100 Years' War, and the War of the Roses. War after war after war. There was one man. He was a soldier. He was trained to fight and kill, and that was all he knew. And then, peace. Peace came to this land. And the soldier did not have a job. All he knew was fighting. And so he went to his brother. His parents had died. He could not go home. He went to his brother. His brother had married and had children, and she did not want a soldier in the house. He could not find a job. So he went out into the swamp. And there in the middle of this dark, murky swamp, there was a small copse of woods, a circle of trees. He sat down in the middle of that circle, and he did not know what to do with his life. When he heard clippity-clop, 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 he turned to see a man wearing a green frock coat, a man with little horns poking through his hair. Or was it a man with cloven hooves like a goat? It was Beelzebub, Lucifer. You call him the devil, no? The devil said, I am looking for a man such as you. Will you work for me for 7 years? I am looking for a job, said the soldier. Do you know fear? I am a soldier. Being a soldier and knowing fear does not go hand in hand. I do not know what fear is. Then turn around. Roar! A huge bear was standing there. The soldier lowered his rifle, shoved it into the nose of the bear, and kablam! The bear was dead. Well then, said the man with cloven hooves, I think you are the man I've been looking for. And he skinned the bear. He said, you must wear this bear skin for 7 years. For 7 years you may not shave, trim your nails, bathe, or shower. How shall I live? Said the soldier. I will give you my green coat. Whenever you need anything, put your hand in the pocket, and you shall be provided for. Well, the young soldier, he put on the bear skin and the green coat. He put his hands in the pockets to test, and there were gold coins. This will not cost me my soul, said the soldier. Well, this is up to you. If you survive the 7 years, your soul shall be your own. But if not, it shall be mine. Well, the young soldier did not know what else to do. 7 years, you say? 7 years. And you must not pray for 7 years. Well, the man lived hard on that pocket. He bought whatever he wanted, whatever he needed. He could stay in the most luxurious inns until the bearskin began to smell. The years swam by, his hair so matted, he looked more like bear than man. With the bearskin about him, that became his name. Soon the innkeepers would have nothing to do with him. until he pulled out a handful of gold. They would not let him stay in the inn with the other guests. They put him not in the stable, afraid he would scare the horses. But they gave him a small room, like a gardener's shed, a place to sleep, a bite to eat. But during those years, he lived hard on that pocket. And whenever he met a homeless man or a child who was hungry, he gave them gold. He said, "Pray for me, please. Pray that I survive these 7 years." Could you imagine his smell after 4 long years without bathing? His look without shaving? His claws without trimming? One night, Bearskin was in a small shelter, and he heard wailing, crying, moaning. In the room beside him, this was no child. It was an old man. Bearskin listened until his heart could take it no longer. He opened the door between the 2 rooms. The old man crying in the corner, "Look, ah! Do not be afraid," said Bearskin. "What is wrong with you? What has broken your heart so that you wail like a child?" The old man could fairly cease his crying. He said, "I am just a simple farmer. I have lived hard. I have worked hard. I have tried to take care of my family. But my wife, she has died. My debts, they have grown. I cannot pay them. I shall lose my farm. And my 3 daughters, my daughters will have no place to live, no one to care for them. I'm going to prison in the morning, and I cannot even say goodbye." "Ha! If it is only debt you have," said Bearskin, "then debt I shall take care of." And he gave the man more gold than he could spend, paid off all of his debts, and gave him more gold besides. The old man said, "You have been so kind to me, so generous. Under that dark skin, there must be a good heart. Since you have been so kind to me, let me take you home and introduce you to my 3 daughters. Are you married?" "No," said Bearskin. "Then one of my daughters shall be your bride." "If she will have me," said Bearskin. And in the morning, they went to the farmer's home. He had 3 of the most beautiful girls you had ever seen. When the father told his daughters the story that I've just told you, he turned to his 3 daughters and said, "Will you have him?" The first daughter, "Ah! He is such a horrible man. I'll have nothing to do with him," and stormed off to her room. The second daughter mocked him. He's a bear. He'd be a good dancer, you know, the dancing bears in the circus. But no, I will not marry him. I want a real man. But the third daughter, she said, "Father, he has not only saved your life, he has saved ours. If you have promised one of your daughters, then I shall help you to keep that promise." Under the thick matted fur, no one could see this wicked man of a bear shed a tear. He reached into his pocket and he pulled out a gold ring. He bit it in 2. In one half of the ring, he wrote his real name. In the other half of the ring, he wrote her name. He took the one with her name and put it back in his pocket. He took the other half and put it on a gold chain and gave it to her and said, "I shall return in 3 years. Well, I hope to return in 3 years. If I do not survive, do not mourn for me. Marry another man. Do not wait for me. But please, for 3 years, will you wait? Will you pray that I survive?" She took the gold ring, the chain she put around her neck. She said, "Yes, I shall wait 3 years." And Bearskin left the home. Now the older sisters, you could imagine, they taunted her, they teased her. The oldest one said, "You better be careful. He is a bear. If you do not please him, roar, he shall gobble you up." The second one said, "Well, at least you know he'll be a good dancer when the wedding comes." And they taunted her. They teased her mercilessly. Now Bearskin had a reason to live, a reason to survive. He continued to live hard on that pocket. He continued to give gold to the poor, to the homeless, to the hungry. "Please, will you pray for me?" And the 3 years swam by, and the appointed day came. Bearskin sat down in the copse of woods, the circle of trees, in that ancient swamp. He sat and he waited. He didn't have to wait long before he heard clippity-clop, clippity-clop, clippity. He turned around, and there stood the man with cloven hooves. "I'm disappointed to see that you have survived, but survived you have. I guess your life, your soul, is your own." "But we are not through yet," said Bearskin. "I wish to keep this pocket as part of the bargain. And you must shave and wash me, trim my nails, give me a suit, a fine carriage, and white stallions." Reluctantly, the devil did as he was told. And when the bearskin was gone, he was the most handsome young man you would ever lay eyes upon, dressed in a fine suit, with a great carriage, and 4 white stallions. He returned to the farmer's home. Now the old farmer and his 3 daughters, they did not recognize him. They had no idea who he was. He must be some wealthy man. He steps down out of the carriage. He approaches the old farmer. "I'm looking for a bite to eat. Will you offer me some accommodations, maybe dinner? I shall pay you for the meal." "Yes, yes," said the old farmer, and warmly welcomed them in. They sat down. He said, "I see you have 3 beautiful daughters. I am looking for a bride. I can pay for a handsome dowry if one of your daughters will have me." The 2 oldest daughters fled to their rooms, hoping he would choose one of them. They dressed in their finest dress. They combed their hair just so. They squirted just a little bit of perfume, so they had a delightful fragrance. But the youngest daughter sat in the corner, dressed in black. She did not even raise her eyes to look at this stranger, this guest. Bearskin asked for a glass of wine, took the other half of the ring, dropped it there within, took it to the young girl and said, "Are you not thirsty? Please, have a drink." And when she began to drink, she saw the gold in the bottom glittering. She took out the other half of the ring. "Yes," said Bearskin, "it is I, and I see you have waited for me. Will you have me now?" She was so delighted, she planted kisses upon his face. The other 2 sisters, they came back into the room. As you could see, they were quite disappointed. But the wedding was held. A priest was called. A band played. And the celebration went on for 7 days and 7 nights, and every day more glorious than the one before it. The oldest sister threw herself in a well. The second sister off a cliff. When the celebration was over, they heard a clippity-clop, clippity-clop. and a knock upon the door. It was the man in the green coat. He said, "You might be disappointed that I lost your soul, but I am not. I gained 2 souls in the bargain." And you know how these stories end. With the exception of the 2 sisters, they all lived happily ever after. Thank you.